wanted this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra. Fuck with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the islands. We up on the jet, we'll do more than just fly on it. Stand on that hill, you gon' die on it. Boom. Baby, I'm not one of them, you should try on it. Miss me with all that, I'm on it and next. Fuck this up, I send you back to your ex. But good luck with that, this is big as it gets. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure.
1, 2, 1, 2, coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. 1, 2, 1, 2, coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. And shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah.
Hey. Yeah, let's see how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, move.
Amateurs!
Amateurs! God damn, just have your camera working. That's all we ask.
Oh, all right. My gosh. Episode 380 of the PHP Ugly podcast. We are a podcast that focuses on the PHP programming language, the PHP community, web technology, and my company, PHP Architect. I can't say our company. I am your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me, this very special show, there's some very special people. I got TJ Miller.
Yo, what's up?
And Sarah Goldman. You got to say hi, Sarah.
Oh, hi. Hi, Sarah.
Thank you. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Happy to have you here. Consider joining our Discord channel at discord.phpugly.com, where you can be part of the show. Matter of fact, I should have that up here. Normally we do have that running. I've been testing things, so you can actually be part of the show at discord.phpugly.com, and you can hang out up there all week. Fantastic group of people in there, including these two knuckleheads. The show was made a little better thanks to some sponsorship. Honeybadger.io and PHP Architect, as well as our wonderful supporters on Patreon. I think that's it. I don't know. I'm sure I forgot something, but welcome, guys. Happy to have you.
Oh, so excited to be here.
This is
after years of trying to sabotage this show. I've finally knocked out 2 of the 3 hosts.
I had a moment of weakness. I didn't want to do it by myself. So
you're next, Johnson.
I know. We need to get a round table going again. That's my big thing. I tell you. So let me introduce people, because I've known these two for a long time. I consider both of them to be good friends, but I realize maybe not everybody does know them. So Sarah Goldman, the one over here, is one of the core contributors of the PHP programming language. Funny enough, does not code in PHP. How long have you been
that's only half true. I write little scripts from time to time.
How long have you been a core contributor, though?
Since the turn of the century. So, longer than some of my coworkers have been alive.
And you were involved with hackling too, right?
Yeah, no, Facebook did hackling. God, when did they really start that project? Like 2012, I want to say, was when they really started that project. And I was in there early on. And yeah, we all know what happened to that.
Hey,
no, hackling's fine.
I still credit that for kicking PHP's internals in the ass a little bit and say, hey, let's start iterating. Let's start, making some things. Because
absolutely, if you go back in time, PHP 5, like 5.6 was already long in the tooth at this point, and PHP is like, oh yeah, we're fast enough, we're fine.
Right.
And then HHVM, which is the runtime, hackling is like the variation of the dialect, but HHVM, the runtime, came along and says, yeah, by the way, we're twice as fast, no big deal. Do you like performance? Because we got some performance over here. And we got like Wikipedia and a bunch of other people on board, because they're like, yes, we do like performance and not having to run as many servers. And so PHP kind of got a shot in the keister.
Yeah.
And everybody wins. Open source, doing what it's supposed to do.
Absolutely. And also, if you're in the Laravel community, you know this individual, but if you're not, maybe not. He's kind of a low-key cat for the most part. I like grab him and I pull him on the show, kicking and screaming half the time. So TJ Miller, how you doing, TJ?
I'm doing so good, man. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. Yeah, what have you been up to lately?
Oh man, not much. Just doing talks and working on Sparkle, and I'm very excited about bringing that package and bringing Gen AI and LLMs to PHP and Laravel specifically, and all y'all. Very excited.
We're going to talk about Sparkle a little bit on this show for sure. I don't see how we can avoid it. So this is weird because normally this first part of the show is just John and I talking about the things we worked on over the past week and issues with running the company. And I can't really do that here. So I don't really know how to move forward. And I don't want it to be like a PHP roundtable where I'm asking a bunch of questions, but I have questions to ask.
Well, we can also talk about ridiculous stuff between the questions. Like somebody posted some nonsense about some town in the Arctic Circle wanting 26-hour days, as if that's going to make any kind of sense to computers.
Oh, was that in our Discord? That
was in our Discord.
Oh, that was the moon time zone, right?
No.
There was also the moon in the time zone. The
moon time zone is more sensible. This is just nonsense.
I'm not sure I understand even the moon time zone thing, but yeah, I get this. What's the thinking? I didn't have time to read this. What is the thinking behind this here?
No, I did read it because I had an actual commute today. I normally work from home, but basically the guy in this town is just like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if we had something to distinguish ourselves so that we weren't just a boring little town in the Arctic Circle? Literally, read the article. That's all. So they have. They haven't figured out how it's going to work, but we're going to have a 13 on our clocks. That's literally as far as they've taken the thought. They're just like, I think EU Commission's not going to.
Have you ever asked yourself why the clock stops at 12? Why don't we turn it up to 13?
Look, I'm sure on some planet this makes a really great, on Mars, I think Mars is 26 hours. They want to move to Mars, set up a town, go for it. I think it's a great idea. I'm in it.
I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. But more power
Derek
to them.
blames the Northern Norwegians.
Everybody trying to make themselves stand out a little bit. Derek, talk about PHP Internals. What's going on, Derek? Happy to see you.
Well, he's very concerned about all these time zones, especially on the moon. This is serious date time business.
For those interested, and I know we've been talking a lot about it, but tech is coming up, not next week, but the following week. Stressing out about it, and all these individuals will be here, including Derek. Derek will be here. We actually have a big showing of out of US speakers this year. We're really happy about that. It wasn't something we planned to do. We just kind of went through all the talks and checked the budget, and we were able to bring in more people from out of the US, which is cool, right? Because when you're in the US, I mean, user groups aren't what they used to be, but when they were a thing, I mean, there was like this chance that you could see a lot of speakers at a user group if you were lucky. And, you can't do that with some of these world travelers that we have. So we're all excited to have Derek there. Sarah, you're not talking this year, but you're going to be there harassing and heckling, which is always a positive.
So I'm not officially talking. I did ask John about the uncontract because I would like to drop a talk into the middle of it. I would have submitted this as a talk, but I've been trying to move back to California and I wasn't sure where I was going to be, and I didn't want to make a commitment that I would have to back out of, because that would be far worse for John's sanity than just, not submitting at all.
Yeah, it's very fragile.
Instead, I convinced my boss to just buy me a ticket, even though I don't use PHP in my daily life, because he wants to keep me happy. So I'm going to try and get in there on the Uncon, and I'm going to talk about work stuff anyway, because Mongo's queryable encryption is pretty dope. I'm just going to say, and you can use that from PHP. So there is your tie-in. Boom.
Ooh, that's exciting. I'm going to have to catch that.
I'm going to have to finish preparing it.
I got a question for you. Are you? Is it like a PHP thing where you do the core stuff, but not so much play around in the language? Is it the same way with Mongo? Like, do you use document stores a lot? And is that something that?
Me personally, no. I mean, I work on the database, so like I have a pretty good constellation of knowledge about how to use Mongo, but like I don't use any database right now. Like I don't have a need for it personally.
Right.
Yeah.
I was curious about that. I'm a CouchDB person, which is, it's a document store as well. The thing, so Mongo, if you're not aware, is a document store. It's like the big document store that people use out there. When I was like doing a bunch of research,
how dare you, sir?
They're not aware.
If you're not aware of what Mongo,
if you're not aware,
dare you, sir?
Hey, I'm just saying. MySQL is like boasted about how they can be a document store now, and I don't get that. But when we were doing a bunch of evaluation for some projects we were working on, I had experience with CouchDB from a previous position I worked at. But the thing that I always liked about CouchDB and kind of won out over Mongo was like the driver is HTTP, right? It's like, how perfect is that? If you can make a curl request, you can interact with the database, which I always liked. I mean, it's not ACID compliant or anything like that, like Mongo is, but it works as a document store, so I'm happy.
I have not once had a need to use a document store. Like I've not once used one.
Oh, you've had the need. You just haven't realized that you had the need.
You want to know what? That's totally fair.
We have one of the people who works at PHP Architect is a CouchDB thinker first, right? Document store first. So my conversations with them were like, well, we're going to use a relational database until you show me a reason why we should be using a document store. And their response is always, I'm going to flip that on you. I think we should be using a document store unless you show me a reason why we should be using a relational database. And it is, I mean, the big benefit, if you're not aware, TJ, I don't know how much you've done it, but it's like a piece of paper, right? There's no structure to it. You never know what you need to store and how much you need to store, and you just throw it in a document and you're done with it. It's pretty nice.
And that's exactly how I like to sell it to PHP people, because you think about like associative arrays. They're just big buckets of data. Like that's what the document is in a document model database. Like, I don't know if how many of your listeners know who Cherry Che was, but he used to say PHP is like a ball of nails. You throw it at something and it sticks. That is how I would describe.
I've never heard that.
Oh, you've never heard that one? I got it on a T-shirt. I'll send you a photo later. I like to think of and this is not an official company line. I do not speak for my employer, but I like to think of MongoDB kind of the same way. It's a big thing you can throw data into in whatever schema makes sense, honestly, in the moment, although I don't recommend having a completely laissez-faire schema. And it'll store it, and it'll keep track of it, and it'll be queryable, and it'll be just there. It's the PHP of databases, and take that as a positive or a negative at your will.
And thinking about it like that, I don't know if I've ever given it like a genuine consideration. And I think thinking about it like that, like I'm thinking about now, like all the implications that can have on different like prompting and like LLM, like prompt storage and memory that I can use with that, like through different conversations and things. So no, I can probably put that to use here pretty soon.
I do just want to suffix that is like, pick the tool that's right for your job is the true only advice that anyone can give that makes any sense.
Right.
Yep, for sure.
And I think, well, first off, it's a struggle. Like conceptually, when you learned on relational databases, you've done all your coding with relational databases, trying to get your head around document stores is a challenge. Like there's just no easy way to, I mean, it's very simple to explain and it's hard for people to grasp the simplicity of it. But I also think that, and I mentioned that MySQL boasts about being, you can use that as a document store as well. And I've never done that. I'm sure you can, but I do think, Postgres and MySQL covered a lot of ground when they created their JSON column types, right? Because that was the big thing for me. It's like, I always feel like I needed to add a relational database or a relational table for phone numbers, because a person can have so many phone numbers and so many variations of a phone number. And I didn't want to say, okay, you have one cell, one home, one emergency.
Work, fax.
Right. So I used to create this relational database where this user had a relationship to phone numbers. But now, first thing, that's just flat out not an issue with a document store, right? A user's profile just has as many phone numbers in it as it needs. But now with MySQL and the JSON column type, you kind of have that same behavior, right? You can just dump anything you want in there.
Well, and very often as a developer, you get that functionality for free. Like you start off and you're thinking, everyone only has one phone number. Why would you carry around multiple phones or have landlines or whatever? Boomer, like whatever. Right. So you start off with a single field and you're like, I guess I was wrong. I guess I need multiple phone numbers. You turn that into a list, and the queries languages that I think most of these document databases have, I know Mongo does, will just deal with that. And we'll just say like, that phone number's in there. It's the only one, but it's in there.
Or even a little bit more modern. I just had this happen the other day. Something I had to take in consideration is that, back 10 years ago, it was like, well, people are either going to have a Facebook account or a Twitter account. That's pretty much all they're going to have. Okay, well, now they're going to have a Threads account. There's this other thing, Blue Sky. Mastodon.
Each one's a new column.
Yeah, exactly. Each handle is a new column. And each handle, well, not each handle, but a lot of the handles have different formats. Not everything is at name. Some are at server at name. And yeah. So document stores just handle. I'm a fan of document stores. I wish I had the confidence to use it more, and I really don't. Like, if I fire up a new project, it's your MySQL, right? It's a MySQL backend for sure, and then I'll try to start to move to a document store. But yeah, you should. I really think you need to look into that, TJ, because I think with I don't know. So we need to talk a little bit about AI and LLMs, right? But I'm not really. I still haven't gotten my head around how that information is stored. And I've got to think it's like a similar situation where it's just got to be these, documents, like these huge documents out there. I could be wrong on that. Do you have any insight on that? What? First, you've been massively into AI, right? That's like your main focus nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, that's been pretty much the last year and a half-ish, or a little over a year, like basically December 2023. Like I remember this was just as I think GPT 3.5 was landing, and I caught wind of it somewhere, and I just got like I got so inspired thinking of all of the ways that like selfishly I could use it to like help me and my ADHD and things like that I could build to help counteract some of that. And I think most programmers have a like pet project that they like keep coming back to, and they use it to explore new ideas because it's just a concept they understand very well. And so when you go to learn a new programming language or a new framework, you kind of tinker around on the similar stuff because it's, it's something well. And for me, that's always kind of been chatbots. So I've always kind of had a fascination with that. And then seeing what was, coming out with GPT 3.5, I was absolutely blown away, and that has it captured my ADHD hyperfocus, and it's held on to it ever since. So the last since December 2023, like that's pretty much all I've been tinkering with in my spare time.
Interesting. So I struggle. I've gotten pretty good at consuming AI. Like I use, ChatGPT. You've introduced me to some other solutions that I've really started to embrace, but I've never been really good at understanding the functionality, like how to really use it. And actually, you introduced me to the concept of prompts and models, which I initially didn't even like. I'm like, wait, what is a prompt? What is a model? I mean, is that something you're comfortable explaining? Like, what is a model exactly, and maybe talk about prompts as well.
So models can be broken up in like a few different ways, but they're really all variations on training data and different training like mechanisms and strategies. So each model has kind of got its own like unique fingerprint of its base training data, and then also the provider that's running that. You have a little bit of uniqueness inside of each different provider. So you've got like GPT 3, 3.5, 4, like all of that stuff you're going to see from OpenAI. And you get a very distinct, I guess, like personality when you interact with that, as opposed to going over to Anthropic and using their like Claude series of models. You're going to get a very different personality and very different type of output, because those models have been trained on totally different base sets of data and then fine-tuned on, additional data sets to, I think Anthropic was very early with their like helpful, I don't know. It's the prompt has got like 3 H's as its like acronym, and there's a whole paper kind of surrounding that. It's eluding me at the moment, but they have like a whole philosophy behind the types of data that they've used to kind of train and shape that model. So that's kind of like the difference between different models. And then you've got like open source models, so models that have been trained on like open data and they're available for you to consume, and you can, they've even like got them small enough that you can run them on, your laptop. I believe Apple just released their Ferret UI model within the last couple days, and that is capable of running right on your phone, which is really pretty cool.
That's
insane. And then prompting is like, so all of this works on like text generation, and like it's autocomplete on steroids, more or less. That's very high level. But prompting is like prompt engineering is like the practice of kind of guiding that LLM to give you the response and like reduce the possibilities of like how it's going to complete that, to like give it, hopefully the output that you want. And you can add in all sorts of like personality into it, but really good prompts leverage the relationality of how these LLMs are trained, because they're trained on relational data sets.
So how analogous is this in prompt engineering to just writing a good search query when you're in Google? Like understanding how the computer wants to talk to you.
Yep. It's my parents drilled it into my head, and it is I hear it echoed constantly as I work on this stuff: garbage in, garbage out. And it's so true.
So I use the AI generators a lot, and I'm sorry, artists, I'm not trying to take money out of your mouths. I only use this for hobby stuff, but I use it a lot with my D&D group. So I'll make like images of the fight we just had or something like that. And there is definitely an art, if you will, to putting together these prompts for the AI art generator to put together something that is meaningful. And I feel like I'm getting better at it, but it might just be the models getting better, honestly, because I know a lot of work.
I'm the same way. Like I keep thinking, to this day, I can't figure out, and a few people do it. Steve in our Discord does it. TJ does it. I cannot get any of these damn things to create words. Like I'll put in the letters, use the letter P, then the letter H, then the letter P, then the U, and then the GLY. Like I won't make it one word. I'll just like try to make them separate letters, and it's still like garbage. I'm like, wait, what the? That is not what I told you.
If I'm lucky, it'll look like Welsh. If I'm lucky.
So
I'll tell you, it's a lot of trial and error, and a lot of like just iterating on it until it gets it right, and then just tweaking the prompt. If I've gone on like 5 generations and something's not right, I'll go back to the prompt and just rework the whole thing and try something different. But I'll just sit there and like it'll take some of the better ones that I've done. They take me a good half hour of just trying and tweaking and refining the prompt. But I got smart early on and wrote a prompt to generate prompts for me to feed like image generation LLMs. So it adds in all of the detail and, really kind of like the outcomes are incredible. But yeah, using LLMs to then like prompt other LLMs is like,
it's
fantastic.
LLMs all the way down.
Yes, basically.
Oh my God. That's fantastic.
And I hate. I mean, I love TJ, but I hate talking to him because he gets me so worked up. And it's funny because like the first conversations we had about AI, I'm sitting here talking about things that I would like to use AI for the magazine that I really feel like are like pie in the sky things. I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if we could do this one thing, but I don't know how it would work. And TJ is like, oh yeah, no, that's really easy to do. Don't worry about that. I'll help you with that. I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what? He gets me so worked up over this stuff, man. I'm like,
and then I send you like little demos of like parts of the functionality that we talked about like a couple of weeks apart. Yeah.
I know, man.
I mean, it's an entire emerging field. So like, welcome to the problem that our parents had of not understanding what the hell a computer was or how to use a mouse. Like, thank you. This is the next generation now. And we are the boomers.
100%. 100%. And I hope I don't have the bandwidth to learn something new right now, but I hope TJ can get me there and get my head around it, because like you said, I feel like this is a at very least going to have to be one of these recursive knowledge things that you need to continue to move forward as a developer or in our industry in general. Okay,
and that's
I'm just a month away from retirement, man.
Let me interrupt you guys for one moment. We do have a sponsor, and I'm going to queue up John's read on this. Honey Badger has been a sponsor of ours for a long time. They have a new product out that we need to do a read for, and I tried to get that done before today's show, and I totally failed. So this is the old Honey Badger stuff, but by next week we'll have a new read.
Check out Honey Badger, y'all.
Insights is so cool. You got to go check it out.
I think that's it. Insights. Yeah, Insights. Yeah. Insights is so we have a new read for Insights, but here's Honey Badger.
Thanks to our friends at honeybadger.io for sponsoring this podcast. Monitoring, like web development, can be complicated. There are tons of tools and techniques, but you just want to know that your app is up and that your customers are happy. When your customers encounter a problem, you need clear, actionable intelligence, not walls of charts and reams of logs to tail. That's why they built Honey Badger, the monitoring tool we always wanted. A tool that's there when you need it and gets out of your way when you don't, so that you can keep shipping code, know when critical errors occur, and which customers are affected. Respond instantly when your systems go down. Improve the health of your systems over time, and fix problems before your customers can report them. Honey Badger is the application health monitoring tool built for you, the developer who cares about a quality product and happy customers. Be the hero of your team and sign up for a free trial and start monitoring today at honeybadger.io. Setup takes as little as 5 minutes. See what you've been missing and fix it. Once again, that's www.honeybadger.io.
Goddamn, get back in the basement, John. Get back in there.
Did he show up? Oh, he's a read. TJ, didn't you write didn't you do the first release of the Honey Badger package for Laravel?
I did for Laravel, yes, and I did at the time a big rewrite of their PHP one too. So their current iteration, I kicked that off, but it's been a while since I've worked on that.
That's cool. I always because I still see when you go to the repo, you're still associated in the repo, and I still see your commits. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, those are awesome guys over there. Love the product.
Yeah, they've been super friendly to us for a while. Can't get them to sponsor tech. I'm gonna get them. I'm bringing them around eventually. They'll sponsor tech. So what were we talking? We're talking AI. I got a question for you. Well, first, let me ask Sarah. Let me ask you a question. How much are you? I mean, you said you're using it to generate some images for your D&D game. Which you still owe me some time to show me how to play Among Us. Are you guys still playing Among Us?
Yeah, most Sundays, yeah.
I've got to, I mean, again, I have very little bandwidth.
6 Central, so it's 4 p.m. your time, man.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I'm still in the Discord. I keep seeing you guys pop in there. But what, as somebody who's at the C level of development, what is your take on AI? I mean, do you see the benefits? Do you use it? Do you use any of these co-pilots or code completion solutions? How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's definitely the large language. I hate calling it AI because everybody has assumptions about what AI means. It's a tainted word. But yes, the impact of large language models is going to make our lives better, period. In a few ways, it's probably going to make it worse. I won't go on to my communist rant, but in terms of its benefits, yeah, these are definitely real things that exist. I don't use it for my coding, mostly because I still am waiting to see how the legality of that works. GitHub trained Copilot on all of the GitHub repos. How much of that was consensual from the original authors? How much of it wasn't? It's still not 100% clear to me. Maybe Microsoft has clarified that. I'm not sure, but I'm just kind of keeping it at arm's length for now. Wait and see. I definitely use these large language models in my everyday life. I use Siri and Google Assistants all the time, which would not exist without this kind of technology. I'm optimistic. I'm looking for the future where our cars all drive themselves, and we no longer have to deal with terrible drivers on the road cutting you off and speeding too fast because all the cars are driving themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only solution to terrible drivers, is just take all their licenses away.
Yeah, my thing, and I'm not going to say they were terrible drivers, which I'm sure they were, but I'm looking forward to getting to the stage. But like with self-driving cars, my parents could have been more independent for a lot longer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how much of independence requires you having to physically go somewhere else, and that ability to drive a car well is probably one of the first things to go as you get older.
My site is going fast, dude. I try to avoid driving as much as possible.
See, I like driving. I think I'm going to be, when I'm old and I have grandkids, I'm going to be that guy. When I was young, you had to drive your own car and we liked it. I'm going to be that
Some
guy.
of us liked it. Not all of us liked it. My wife loves to drive, so she just gets in the driver's seat. I get in the passenger seat. Everybody's happy.
What about you, TJ? Do you use? I mean, obviously you're deep in the AI world, but do you use it like for code completion or anything like that?
I actually don't use it for code completion at the moment, and I don't really have a good reason why. I was using Copilot really early on, and it was getting in the way for me more than it was helpful. So I disabled it. Then they started charging for it, and I felt weird them charging for it and having questions over some of the same stuff that Sarah mentioned over like whose repos were you using? I don't know. I felt weird about it.
They charge for Copilot now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They have for a while now. Yeah.
So there's other ones I'm much more interested in trying. SourceGraph, I believe theirs is called Cody. I'm like very interested in trying that out. I think they're doing some really interesting stuff over there. But you can use open source code llama models with solutions in VS Code like Continue Dev. There's a couple other ones that you can use, like even local offline models for. So there's some options out there to kind of like get around necessarily Copilot proper, but I'm also a diehard Vim user, so I've got not as many options for code completion in there. But outside of that, I use LLMs constantly.
Is bringing some whole line completion in now.
Right. The whole line completion is the interesting thing about that is it's offline, right? It will continue to
it's all local on your machine, yeah.
So I'm curious, like they've got to be putting these models on your machine, right? I mean, how else would that work? Or it's part of the install of in my case, PHP Storm, right? It would be part of the install. And isn't that going to take like the size of that application through the roof? Or am I not understanding how that works?
Not for single line completion like they're doing. Like they're keeping it small and compact, and that's why they're not doing like big multi-line stuff, because that's where you're going to need like bigger models that can do much larger output. If you're limiting the amount of tokens that you're outputting to like a single line of completion, that's not going to be huge and pretty low powered. And they're going to do all of the like pre-training on that model. So they're able to ship something that's going to be purpose trained for doing single line completion with, context in front of it. So they give you like the file up to that point. And then I think in some cases they'll give like, talking about prompting, they're basically prompting the model with the file up to the point of completion, and then maybe some additional associated files. So if you're importing or extending a class, maybe they'll also, inject into that prompt that class so that there's, that context available for that completion. But then they're only putting out maybe 200 tokens worth of content. So you're very low compute to output that.
So what is a token? Because I know that
I was just going to ask the same thing.
So if you think about,
I only got 50 galactic credits, man. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So if you think about LLMs as like this auto completion on steroids, a token is basically the smallest unit that it will auto complete with. So it's typically fragments of words that can be reused in fragments of other words. So there's like this reusability of tokens. So tokens can be slotted together. So like a token could be used in this word, and then it's reused again as part of this, like this other word over here. And you can get like reuse out of reusing these fragments everywhere. So it's basically like the smallest unit of completion that these things will do.
So it's not unlike the kind of lectures and parsers you would write for just like code compilers. It's like this is if. It's not a whole if statement, it's just the word if. And this is some parentheses, and these are a then.
So if you think of like the word this, like you could have like the T could be a token, and then the HIS would be like another token, because then like HIS is also his, but then the IS is also another like fragment of that could be reused also. So like it's basically breaking all of this stuff down to be, you know, as efficient as possible, I guess.
I was about to complain that, but there's no semantic relationship between this and his, and then you mentioned is, and it's like, well, this is his. They actually fit together really well. But I mean, to the point though, like these tokens are not necessarily related to each other apart from the glyphs used to represent them, right?
There is semantic meaning behind the usage of those tokens.
I would hope so.
So like the tokens themselves, no, but like the usage of those tokens have relationships built inside of them. But there are relationships between like is and then being a relation, like not semantic relationship, but like there's other relationships to it, but
right.
More or less.
Okay,
I'm just waiting for the AIs to have this philosophical discussion about how tokens fit together. And oh my God, my AI camera. Speaking of AI, if you see my camera moving around a bunch, it's because it is way too reactive to my little hand signals.
Okay, I want to take a moment for people to appreciate what's the best way to do this. Let's do it like this. Okay, this is so typical for I think, right? All right, first off, I'm going to get this out of the way. Sarah's cheating. Sarah has a green screen. Mm-hmm. Sarah cheats. My like crazy chaos. This is my ADHD right here. This is what my brain feels like, right? This is how, you know, my background has always been. Every time I see a Laravel podcaster, it's always the cleanest goddamn background with the one colored light like TJ has here. You guys must all have the same person helping you with this stuff, because you, Dorinda, all you guys have the cleanest backgrounds. I swear to God.
But the important question here is that actually a virtual background? Even if it represents what's really behind you, is that a virtual background?
Nope. This is all me.
God damn. How do you do that?
Right? That's what I'm saying. What is wrong with you?
This is what my desktop looks like. It is disgusting.
Let me make that big. Do that again, Sarah.
This is the mess back there. It is absolute chaos.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, this mess, this is me cleaning it real fast before I start streaming. It does not, like, normally it's way worse than this during the day.
The best part is this light is like not planned at all. Like I hijacked this office from my wife, and she had filled it with all of these lovely plants, and there's a bookshelf right over here with multiple shelves of
that's
like
your
small
wife's
plants.
office.
So
okay.
That's so I've got a grow light over here, like just keeping all of them nice and happy because it's like off in the shade.
Yeah, perfect, man.
It worked out well.
I've had video calls with TJ where he's been like, you know, on the norm down low, and then he gets on the podcast with this. I'm like, what the hell? Your background doesn't look that good when we talk normally. Jeez.
I clean up well. I clean up nice. That's how I landed my wife, I think.
Look at what do you got going on here? Jeez.
You were showing off your multicolor light, so I just wanted to be special too.
Love it.
I break out the green screen for PHP Ugly, but again, we haven't done that in a while, so I need to get back to that.
This was folded up at the bottom of my office closet.
Somebody's on a Mac. Somebody's on a Mac, right? You got just did the thumbs up thing. There you go.
Oh wow! when did that come to being?
I think I have mine disabled. I don't think mine are. No, mine are enabled. I forget what they all are. There are a bunch of different ones now. You can do the rock
you know
symbol. Like what's the rock symbol like this? And I don't know. I can never get mine to trigger. And
I had to turn mine off because it constantly triggered. I was like, I was always thumbs upping people, so I'd be like real angry in a meeting or something, and just like thumbs up. Like, no, I didn't mean that.
Okay, so we talked about the questionable ethics behind how these models are getting their data, especially things like Copilot, right? And this is one of the questions that I've had come up a lot. I think we're all we kind of lean open source first sort of thinkers, right? But I worked at a company where they had this concept of obfuscating their code base. And the reason being, the way it was explained to me is, hey, if the code ever gets compromised, if the server ever gets compromised, somebody grabs the code, they won't know what they have. They won't be able to figure out, which is not really true. Most of these obfuscation things can easily be worked out. And then, of course, in the consulting world, it comes up every now and then because it's like that code is your bread and butter. And if somebody else can come in and manage your code, it's a challenge. Where do you guys fall with obfuscation? And do you think that would go? First thing, where do you fall with obfuscating PHP? I'm talking specifically about PHP here.
So if we're talking specifically PHP, somebody put a task to me. They're like, "This, I promise you, this is my code, but like I've lost the ability to read it anymore." And it's like it's got all these guards on it to make sure it's not being run in some weird environment. I wrote a PHP disassembler before Nikki's AST dumper was in place that literally just took the bytecode output, and I stuck that into a fresh build that looked like a release build because and I was able to get a source back, and the only obfuscation left was just the variable names, which is not great, but it's not encoded anymore. And I think of encoders like obfuscators. They're not really protecting your code because it has to run regardless. And I'm anti them. I don't think they add anything useful. I think there are better ways to protect your intellectual property investment than trying to make development of your product harder, because this does hurt your engineers. Like, it makes developing your product harder if they can't just tweak something and keep it running. I think if we look at what open source has done in other, outside the scope of obfuscation, people dump their MongoDB is open source, except for like 10% of it, but never mind that. It's mostly open source.
Don't look at that. Don't look at that.
And yet the company does just fine selling support contracts and hosting and various other ways of using the database. Like, there are more ways to make money than just having some proprietary closed source software that you run around and sell. Apple doesn't charge you for macOS. I think Microsoft still charges for Windows. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've had to buy a license for Microsoft.
Yeah, I don't give Apple a pass though, because you can't run macOS on any hardware either. They don't charge for it, but it's not an available solution for most people. I will say, I had a long conversation with Taylor Otwell once. We had a bunch of back and forth on Twitter, and he kept kind of shooing it off like it really isn't that big of a deal. But I kept trying to explain to him, you are the quintessential success story of open source. You created an open source framework. You built businesses around that open source framework that you leverages that open source framework. You made a lot of money doing that. at the same time, keeping the framework and all the packaging and everything around it open source. He really, I don't think he takes enough credit as being, a success story, a financial success story in the open source community. I think he should. But yeah, I always look at him as like, yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it.
Well, the reality is, like, people using open source software, they don't only do it because it's free and available. They do it because the whatever's behind it is something that they can trust. You mentioned HHVM before. I was trying to push HHVM as much as I could while I was working on that project, but a lot of people were reticent to touch it, no matter how open source it was, because, well, it's backed by Facebook, and maybe I don't trust Facebook. Trust matters a ton. If we look at MySQL owned the relational database market, at least within the small to medium end, and certainly a lot of open source users went straight to MySQL. There was always the Postgre crowd, but they're like the BSD folks. They're a bit weird. And then when Oracle ended up acquiring MySQL by way of Sun, because this is how things go in the Valley, you saw this huge exodus go away from MySQL, even though Cassandra was there as an alternative option, because it had this taint of, like the third time I've used taint today, this contamination of a company that people don't necessarily trust as much.
Right. And it wasn't only users of it, a lot of core developers as well forked it and created MariaDB, right? I mean, those were the core developers from MySQL, and it was kind of the same concept. They didn't have the trust in a big corporation like Oracle, which rightfully so. I still don't understand that play with Oracle. But whatever. They did stand behind. They said early on that they weren't going to kill MySQL, that they would keep MySQL around, and I didn't believe them, and they stood behind that. So I'll give them credit with that. But MariaDB became
I don't want
a
to
thing
trash talk
because of
Oracle here. I don't think
Yeah.
Oracle necessarily did anything particularly wrong with MySQL. I'm just talking about the community's reaction.
Yeah, and it changed the landscape. What was I gonna
Massively.
say? So, has there ever been a consideration, or is it even possible? I assume it's possible. Has there ever been a consideration of making PHP a compiled language?
Lots of projects have done it. Phalanger was one that famously had a compile straight to binary that Microsoft ended up buying, and then it kind of
Oh,
disappeared
really?
after that. Yeah, look it up, Phalanger, Phallanger. There was another one whose name I'm blanking on completely, but actually HHVM's predecessor, Hip Hop, was literally a
Oh, hip
PHP to C++
hop. I was trying to remember what it was
transpiler.
called. Yeah.
Hip Hop, because the PHP license doesn't let you call things PHP if you're using PHP source, and it actually was using some PHP source for the runtime pieces. So they had to give it a name that was close but legally distinct and safe. So that became high performance PHP or hip hop.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, okay. So do you see any benefits to that, or? I mean, it's closer to the metal, right? If you run it that way.
Theoretically, it is. So like I said, this did exist, HPHPC. It transpiled PHP to C++, and then it compiled that C++ straight down to, as you say, right next to the metal code. And then Facebook discovered two things. Number one, this is really inconvenient for developers. You don't want to have to build this massive C++ project every time you change one line in your PHP script. So the devs would end up running stock PHP and then try and actually push that into a hip hop build and discover, oh, there's this subtle difference between stock PHP and hip hop, and the code you wrote that was working fine and testing great doesn't work anymore. And the second thing was, it did just take a really long time to build the entire Facebook.com website, which is not a small website, into this big compiled bin, and deployment just became a huge pain in the butt. So that created the HHVM project, which is Hip Hop Virtual Machine. And HipHop Virtual Machine is actually a lot closer to regular PHP. It does runtime, lexing, parsing, compiling to bytecode, and then can run that bytecode in a virtual machine just the same way PHP does. And in that mode, like I said at the time, it was about twice as fast as PHP 5, but it's actually about equal with PHP 7. And when we put it in production, then we would throw in one extra step that would throw in a bunch of extra optimization steps and actually get it into a form that's ready to emit it as just-in-time compiled code, which PHP also does now as a PHP 8, I want to say. Oh, I should know that answer. So where was I going with this topic? Is there an advantage? So the HHVM project was not allowed to replace hip hop at Facebook until it at least matched hip hop for performance. So you can run the facebook.com website on HHVM today much faster than you ever could have on hip hop. So it depends on how much work you're willing to put into your VM. If you're willing to put enough work in your VM to make it lightning fast and performant, then no, there's not. The people who like obfuscation would say like, oh, I have a binary now, and you can't disassemble a binary. Hint, you can disassemble a binary, but that's beside the point. It's definitely much more obfuscated. And if that's what you're looking for, I don't want to yuck your yum, but sure, fine, go for that. I don't see that as a thing, but I'm a lifty liberal communist who believes that code should be free.
Well, not only that, but there might have been more argument for that back in the PHP 5 days, but PHP out of the box has gotten so much faster. And then you add these other layers like Laravel has Octane, Roadrunner. I mean, there's these other like just
FrankenPHP.
FrankenPHP is awesome.
So cool.
Which you can actually run with Octane, which just basically it actually loads the page before you click on it because it's that fast. It's crazy.
Yep.
Loads the page before you click on it.
But yeah, so probably less of a requirement. I remember we had a user group meeting once, and somebody did a presentation on what's it called? The framework Falcon, which is a PHP framework, but it's in C, right? It's not an extension. What
no, they had an extension.
Was it the extension? Okay, it was an extension, yeah. And I just remember how crazy fast that thing was. This was way back in the PHP 5 days. We hadn't even gotten to 7 or anything. And I remember seeing it. I'm like, holy smokes, man.
Way back in the PHP 4 days at Yahoo, we were writing extensions for the stuff that had to be performant. Like this class over here, it's 2 times slow. Let's rewrite it in C++ to make it faster. And it works.
Yeah, before I started with Laravel, this was way back a while ago. This is almost 10 years ago. Right before I was starting with Laravel, I was really like, I had to make the choice between going with Falcon or going with Laravel. And I decided at the end of the day, Laravel looked too nice. I liked the code, the way everything looked, and the history's there. But I gave Falcon a pretty serious go. It was fast.
That's the other side of that coin, right? We can talk performance until our computers are blue in the face and red on the die. You have to be able to maintain your code. You have to be able to write something that doesn't make you pull your hair out. And high-level languages are great for that. Why fight it?
Absolutely. I do want to take a moment and thank our supporters on Patreon. We're just going to run this in the background. We don't have to stop talking this entire time. But yeah, you guys make the show a little better. We appreciate you very much. I always, it's always like this weird thing how we ended up with so many great Patreon supporters, and I'm always so excited. Some have been with us, like Buttery at the top of that list, has been with us since we created it. So thank you, everybody. If you've recently become a Patreon supporter, I need to update this list. I haven't looked in a while. but I'll get you. I'll get you on the list. I think I'm getting down to a cadence of the beginning of the month. I just reload the list, and I used to do it every week, and it just got to be too much. Not that we were getting that many supporters on a weekly basis, but thanks everybody for supporting us. We do appreciate that.
That feels like
All
a
right.
great segue to say, hey, if you love PHP and if PHP loves you back, it's a good time to love the PHP Foundation, which helps to fund developers working on your favorite language runtime. PHP.Foundation. Check it out.
We are one of the original supporters of PHP Foundation. I mean, we're not one of the biggest supporters, unfortunately. I wish we were, but back in the day, man, we jumped on board pretty quickly. It was weird because it was
as did Taylor, just to shout him out.
Oh yeah, Taylor actually was the first big donation that I saw. I mean, obviously there's JetBrains, right? JetBrains is
I was gonna say JetBrains was number one, and they came in with a bullet. But yeah,
they kind of came in big, but we were in there pretty quick and continue to donate there. So yeah, definitely give them a look. You had reminded me of something when you said the PHP Foundation. I'm trying to remember what that was now. Oh, actually, continuing down that road of the PHP Foundation and internals and all that. What can you explain to me, Sarah? The what's going on with pair replacement? Is that actually happening, or are you up to speed on any of this?
I'm actually not, so I don't want to say anything that's
okay.
too wrong. But if somebody's
I mean, we do
ask.
it. We do it all the time. I mean, you should feel very comfortable saying wrong things on this show.
Oh yeah, I heard you talking about the moon time zone. You were wrong about so many things there.
No, you misunderstood me. I'm not wrong. Come on.
Well, it can't be Thomas because he's never wrong. Hey.
All right. Okay. If you don't know anything about it, I won't. We don't need to go down that path. No. Don't be sorry. You know, I only bring you on the show.
I've missed the last couple of board meetings.
Do you guys actually meet?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty often actually.
Oh, good.
There's
how much has the foundation changed the flow? I don't know how much has the foundation changed internals?
Like culturally, I don't think a lot has significantly changed because, our first several contractors is the best word for them that we've started funding have mostly come from internals. So they were people who are already doing the work, who are already participating in internals. Now they have maybe a little more time to do it or a little more flexibility in their how they schedule their time to do it. But culturally, it's the same people making the same arguments for the same reasons. We do our best not to directly influence exactly what's going to be done. Like nobody's in there saying like, oh well, JetBrains is a major sponsor, so we should be adding in special hooks just for JetBrains. Nobody's doing that because number one, it just wouldn't fly. Now, if somebody did come up with something like that, they might say, well, we're going to create some generic hooks that anyone can use, certainly. But I'm making things up at this point. I don't think it's changed things much.
Good. Except
we're also kind of still learning like what it means to be a foundation and run it successfully in a way that does much more good than harm. So we have definitely been on a slow ramp in terms of what we're actually trying to get done. But we're hoping to expand it.
Along that same line, this is a little bit of a downer. Well, I mean, let's not say it's a downer, but Ryan Weaver, if you subscribe to Symphony Cash, you've probably heard his voice a few times seems like a really good guy. I don't know him personally, but seems like a good guy. He got diagnosed with brain cancer, I guess last month, and kind of publicly announced it this week or last week. It looks like they hit their GoFundMe goal, which is great. Yeah, he's in a serious battle right now. So I just want him to know that we're all thinking about him. We're all here to support him. So yeah, if you know Ryan, or if you're a subscriber to SymphonyCast, that was actually one of the ways he said to kind of contribute. But if you're interested in his GoFundMe, definitely go do that. We've done it as a company. A lot of people. I mean, if you look at the list here, it's like a who's who of the PHP community in here. It's just crazy. Everybody who's come on board to help them out. So thanks, Ryan, for everything. I hope you guys keep fighting. It's just he's got a long road ahead of him. Hopefully he has a long road ahead of him, and that's actually a good case. So yeah, didn't mean to bring everybody down, but
I met Ryan I don't know, maybe 8 years ago. I was like just really getting started, and he was at a local meetup, and he was talking about like SymphonyCast back then, and just kind of getting started. And I think that was a big inspiration for me getting into like whatever I can do, sharing my knowledge out. There was definitely a very early inspiration in like my drive to do that. Today, I think I can attribute a lot of that to Ryan's inspiration. So I hope he does well.
Yeah. Is he obviously at the time, was he in the Michigan area, or was he just like passing through?
No, I don't remember. It is far past the time frame in which I remember details, but no, I think he was just like in the area for something.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I mean, I've held you guys up here for a little over an hour. I'm fine hanging out, but I've kind of run out of things to discuss. Do you guys have any other topics you'd like to bring up that maybe we've blown over?
We had a bunch of things in that board you shared.
No,
we actually hit a lot of them, didn't we?
Yeah, we pretty much got them all.
Tiobe language index rankings. I just want to go on a rant about this because
let's do it.
Okay.
Ooh, let's hear it.
So PHP came down in the rankings, not sad, very sad, but winds of things change. I can accept all that. I think we're at like 19th or something like that according to their index. But they claim that Fortran is at number 10. And I'm sorry, I can't trust any of your data if Fortran is the 10th most popular language.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Am I the asshole here?
I mean, yes, but that's beside the point.
And Go seems awfully low too.
Yeah, this is sus. Is like, I mean, my favorite language C++ is number 3, so y'all can just suck it. But no, it feels sus to have Fortran at number 10. Fortran was a dead language when I was born, okay? And I'm not young.
So, unfortunately, we don't have Thomas on the show anymore, but that was one of Thomas's favorite long-running jokes. We had a user at our user group meetings. Every meeting, that was his talking point, was Fortran. Well, I can do that easier in Fortran. I got to, he kept coming to the meetups, the PHP meetups, because he had this big application that he wanted to port over from Fortran to PHP, but it didn't matter what advice you gave him. It was always like, no, Fortran does that better. I'm like, what? Why are you here? Like, why are you here?
I mean, I don't mean to disrespect Fortran as a language. It's a very competent language. It has survived the years very well for good reason. There are applications that were written in the 70s that are still running today, looking at you, banks and telcos, that are still running today because they were written in Fortran and they were done very well. I'm not saying no to that. I'm just saying, how is it popular?
Right. Yeah.
That's what doesn't jive.
How did, I mean, I just took it off the screen, but if you look at, let me put this back up to the screen, because this is what's not making sense to me. Turn this back on. Okay. So this is 2024. Fortran is number 10, right? 2023. Wait, what is this? This is PYPL index. Oh, never mind. I thought that was 2023. I was gonna say, I thought it was implying that Fortran was moving up the rankings. I'm like, wait a minute, that
So the
doesn't
article
make any
says
sense.
No, the article says this. It says,
Oh, does it?
Fortran moved up to number 10.
How?
That's
Like,
my question.
How are there new people? Oh, there, right there. There it is. How are there new people taking up Fortran?
Or
I don't
people who
get-
are like, you know what, Python's not for me anymore. I'm doing
I just
Fortran.
love Fortran. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
That's the part I can't understand.
And I'm sorry, if we're gonna rant about this stuff, we need to just take JavaScript off these lists, right? Because like JavaScript is literally everywhere. It doesn't count. It's not like it can be a designated language where you do everything in JavaScript, and that's fine. But when you ask developers, hey, do you use JavaScript? I'll say yeah, even though I couldn't write an application from scratch in JavaScript. I'll say yeah, because I do use, every web developer uses JavaScript. Who doesn't? Stop
I
putting it
actually
on
write a
this
lot
list.
more JavaScript than I do PHP.
Right. It's like, stop putting it on this list. It's not fair. I don't like that.
Okay, but it is a language. Like we don't have to like take away from its notion of popularity. It is definitely a language.
I very
It
much
is
will.
very popular and very widely known. It's just when we go to interpret the results, we can just look at JavaScript. We all know. You're the only language that'll run in the browser. Good for you. Okay.
See, I don't write JavaScript. I write TypeScript.
Oh, there you go.
And if you're listening, yes, I know that web ASM exists. I'm not counting that because you still have to frickin' launch it with JavaScript. I think. I don't know. I've never actually done web ASM.
TJ, you've been doing so this is I feel like one of TJ's efforts in life now. You've been doing a lot of Python stuff with your AI because there's not a bunch of PHP stuff ways to leverage AI, which is what you're working on changing.
Yeah, no, that's a part of that journey of getting into like LLMs and AI in general was like I had to go out and learn Python. Like I'm self-taught. I grew up with PHP and JavaScript, and that's what I know. I didn't learn really anything before that. So like I
Pascal's making a comeback, baby.
Yeah, I was forced to go out and learn Python, and because that's what everything's written in. So I like tried a ton of different frameworks in Python, and coming back to PHP, and just like was missing Laravel and wanting to be like super productive there, and looked at the landscape. I only saw like a couple packages out there, but nothing really had the Laravel flavor to it. So that was all like the start to Sparkle.
Start to Sparkle.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere
I picked up on it
you can
too.
go about see what's going on with Sparkle? I know that you have stuff out there. I don't know if you release stuff yet.
I have a placeholder repo out and available under Echo Labs Dev on GitHub. I'm going to be putting together like a little bit bigger post over the weekend about kind of the state of everything. The best place to keep in touch about it is honestly just follow me on Twitter. I'll be like posting all sorts of stuff there. I just spun up a YouTube today to start like sharing some more screencasts there with everything. So,
Sarah, when are you going to get back on Twitter?
When hell freezes over.
Well,
Also,
that
there is
apparently
no
has
Twitter.
happened. Apparently,
There is no Twitter. It doesn't exist.
that's true.
Oh,
There
but
isn't.
topics. Did you hear this? This is beautiful. Somebody at Twitter got the job to redo links that were going to Twitter, and they wanted all the twitter.com links to go to x.com because Elon loves his little x.com. Sounds like the name of a porno. Never mind. But they got it wrong.
Agree.
They got it wrong, and they didn't like do a boundary match on it. So if you have something like netflitwitter.com, it would get rewritten as netflix.com, but only in the display of the link. So you would have a link in your tweet, I think that's what the kids call it, that looks like it says netflix.com/blah, blah, 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 blah. Under the hood, it would actually send you to netflitwitter.com, blah, 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 blah. And so some dude registered netflitwitter.com and put up this message saying, look, man, these guys at X, they don't know what the hell they're doing, these chuckleheads. So I registered this to protect you, just so you know this is going on. Apparently, Twitter's already fixed it. Like X has already fixed it. But this was a hilarious point of my week.
That's super funny.
It's hilarious.
Have you checked
You
your
can picture
old,
it how it happened too.
Have you checked your old handle? Is it unblocked or whatever?
No, I haven't. Certainly,
I don't even remember what you were on Twitter to go check. But
well, now I feel like I shouldn't tell people. No, it still shows his account suspended.
Suspended.
Right.
That's what you are. Suspended. Yeah.
Okay. It's still there. It is still like nobody can register over the top of it. So I at least appreciate that.
That was
I got
my
a brand
question.
to protect, man. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, you do. All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up. If you do want to kind of keep track of all the happenings with these two crazy people, I know TJ is all over the place. If you're on X, if you're on Mastodon, if you're on Blue Sky, TJ's there. I'll get those handles in the show notes, and then. Sarah, are you down to one Mastodon account? Because you had like 3, I think, at one point.
I have 3 now. Yeah.
But for purposes of the show, we'll share the PHPC one, right? You okay?
That one makes most sense for this show. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll get all those in the show notes for everybody who might be interested in following these guys.
And my bio on that one will point out my other one as well. So.
Oh, cool.
Well, one of my other
besides
ones.
that, you guys have anything else? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you're working on? All right.
No.
Works.
I'm boring, man. I just work on Sparkle. That's it.
Can't wait to see you at PHP Tech 2024.
I don't know
Yes.
why we're doing a show next week, because we actually fly out Friday morning.
Yeah, no, that sounds insane, dude. I would take the week off from the show.
Right? I'm thinking. I'm going to try to talk John into that.
I'll spin up everyone.eric and I'll run a show of that. It'll be fun.
Actually, that's not a terrible idea. They were hoping for that today, so maybe we'll do that. That's not a terrible idea.
Well, we can't do it if you're here. Then it's not everyone but Eric.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Next week, you guys, maybe we arrange that on this channel. We have people. I'm sure we have a lot of people that like to get on. So, all right, that's going to do it for episode 300. You guys don't even know how to end the show, do you?
Keep it ugly.
Well,
no?
So I'm going to say my name. We'll go right to left according to my screen. I'll say my name. TJ, you say your name. Sarah, you say yours, and then we say keep it ugly. Got it? All right. That's going to do it. I'm not cutting any of this out of the audio podcast, by the way. Everybody's going to get to appreciate this.
See how the sausage is made, man.
That's right. Yep. Episode 380. I'm Eric.
I'm TJ.
I'm Sarah.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called
Yeah, I
ugly
knew about
'cause it's
Harry
not
Mack,
professional.
just
But I'm about
before
to
you
come
guys
through
went
and bless
into
it with
the
style. So
thing.
let's do it when I'm spitting. I
mind.
perfume the room. Yo, the segment
man,
of the
yeah,
show is called Doom
he's
and
massive.
Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys.
Shout out to y'all, man. Peace to the whole squad.
We got in right under the wire, right before he blew up. John got that made, and then
I mean, he blew up here first. Let's be honest.
Well, we're the reason he blew up.
You were his big
Yeah.
We
break.
lit the fire.
Yeah.
Corey, I like your title, but you know, I actually think I'm going to give it to Dimitri. Dimitri came in before the show even started with a title of PHP. What was his?
You're talking Beauties and the Beast?
Yeah, and I actually caught it with the bot. Yeah, PHP Beauties and the Beast. Yeah. I like that one. I think background check. That was a good one too, Corey. I think I'm going with Beauties and the Beast.
Oh yes, the Babysitters Club. That one needs context, so that's fair.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Corey thinks if Corey has been such a massive help with our social media on tech this year. Really had taken the whole thing off my plate, which has been fantastic. But
it took me a minute, but I just got that handle. That's fucking great. Choreography.
Oh,
That's great.
I don't even look at handles anymore. I look at avatars. That's all I look at. Yeah.
Dude, so one of my coworkers use the default Slack avatar, and it
drives me crazy.
Makes me angry. Yes, it makes me so angry.
I'm the same with GitHub. I'm the same way with GitHub. I'm like,
or GitHub, yeah.
I tell the team, I'm like, put a freaking avatar. It doesn't have to be a picture of you. Just put something up there, please.
Yeah, it doesn't even take long. Put your dog there. Put a stranger's dog there. That's fine.
Yeah. Yep.
Put a picture of Kermit the Frog there. That's fine.
I feel like a little insulted that you couldn't take the time to put something there, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not asking for a professional headshot, just just do something.
I'm not picturing people going down to Sears and getting their glamour shots to put on their profile pictures.
See, I thought you were going to end that with going to Sears and buying a random photo and using that.
Yeah, just a stock photo.
Just grabbing a frame and using that photo.
I mean, in 2024, that's the only way to get a stock photo is actually to go into a Sears and buy a frame and then take out the stock photo, scan that, and put it on your website. Yeah, it's the only way. It's the only option.
Yep.
All right. If you're just joining us, this is the after show. This is PHP Ugly After Dark, but it's still light out. Hey, what did TJ? No, you weren't in the path of the eclipse. None of you guys were in the path of the eclipse this year.
I
was pretty close.
Totality, but we were pretty close. We were 99.6 or something. We were we were real close.
Oh, that is really close. We were at I think, I don't know, 30% or something like that. You didn't even notice it. I was telling the wife, we walked outside. It looked darker, but the only way I could tell the impact was I was looking at my solar system, and it's like, oh yeah, we're producing about half the power we normally produce, and so something's happening right now.
Yeah, it was super cool. We went outside. I think I was outside for probably an hour. It didn't last that long, but I think we had probably an hour from start to finish, and I was just being a super nerd, hanging out, watching the whole thing happen.
Yeah, that's actually why John's not here. John went down to Mexico and was like right in the path. He took
Oh,
him and his
nice.
family. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So they got to experience the full impact of it. I'm like, whatever. My office doesn't have windows, so I can have an eclipse every day if I want. I just turn all the lights out. It's made no difference to me. Hey, all right, man.
I want to shout out NorCal Kid, by the way. NorCal Kid. Yeah. I didn't get to comment at the time, but what do you say? If you can see your desk, you're bad at your desk job. 100%. 100%.
Oh, I meant we started talking about it, and I forgot to continue down the path. But I know, obviously, Vim with you, TJ. Sarah, you're a Vim person as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you both still on Vim, or have you moved over to NeoVim?
Oh, I'm NeoVim.
Yeah.
Just stock Vim. I barely have any kind of MRC. I use a very basic setup.
Really? What is wrong with you, weirdo?
I mean, you've seen mine, Eric. You know mine's all.
I know. I've mimicked yours before. I've pulled your whole dot files in and used it for a while.
Dude,
You
I
and
was in
Michael
my
Dorinda.
30s before I stopped using Nano. Okay.
I think John's the same way. He has no configuration. He pulls in no extensions, which I'm kind of envious of because he knows how to do, and I'm sure you're the same way, Sarah. Like all the power of
All the
Vim,
built-in stuff, yeah.
Yeah, he knows how to actually use it. Where I'll just use an extension that does it for me. So I am kind of envious.
I also am
of
a
that.
fast-ass typist.
I'm horrible at typing.
See,
Although
most of my extensions are all just like UI related niceties and like making it look super slick. My key bindings and plugin, like actual functional plugins, are pretty low.
Really?
Yeah, I run pretty bare metal.
Ridiculous.
About half of my config file is just deciding whether to use tabs or spaces and how many spaces the tab stop should be in each of my different project directories. Because PHP's got one rule, Mongo server's got a different rule, Mongo C driver's got a different rule, Foundation stuff has a different rule. So, yeah.
So have either one of you, if you listen to the show a lot, you know about this already. I have so Grumpy Programmer Chris Hartage, turn me on to the home row mod, and on my keyboard, this has changed. So I'm a horrible typist, absolutely horrible. This has changed my life. The home row mod, where it essentially takes, where your fingers are supposed to rest when you're typing.
Yeah.
It takes those. So on the right hand side, the J, K, L, and colon become like when you press and hold them, they become functional things like your control or your super key or what's this? Oh, that's you doing your AI thing.
The AI that's going to be the absolute end of my life. This is the AI that's going to become Skynet.
So look up if you don't use home row mods, and you need to have a keyboard that you can customize to use it. But if you don't use home row mods, check it out because I have pretty big hands. So traveling up and down a keyboard isn't hard for me. I'm terrible at it. And these home row mods, like so much of my time now is just on that home row on my keyboard. And I can do everything I need to do without trying to find, the Apple key or the control key so I have mine is.
But what is it though? Like what like I installed the home row mod. Now what happens?
So all it is again it's a keyboard customization where so the way mine is set up is on this half. I gotta look at it now because it's backwards. JKL, yeah. So here the J, where's that right here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I press and hold it, it becomes the Apple key. So I can press and hold that, and then I hit my tab key and I'm tabbing over apps, and then the K is control, L is shift, and the colon is the alt key. I almost never use that. It's the same thing but reverse on the other side. So it's
Yeah,
FDSA, right? And yeah, so if you think about it, it's like, first off, your home row key is where you do most of your typing anyways.
Yeah.
But if you're resting your fingers there, you don't have to do that travel anymore for those special keys. And the reason I bring it up is because I have so this is the Kinesis, I forget what it's called, Advantage Pro, I think is what this is, the Advantage Pro. And then I have an Advantage 2, which is not modular or anything like that I haven't made those changes on. And I was using it today because I was in another room, and I'm fumbling all over the place. I'm like, God, I couldn't figure out how to do it on the Advantage 2. I still have to figure it out, because
And that's what discourages me from installing mods like this, because I don't have to think about that on a standard 101 keyboard. My control key is always there. My alt key is always there. And
that's
my
a good argument.
I
will say it's a good argument, because if I use my laptop keyboard, first thing, this keyboard is also the linear keyboards, right? They don't
ortholinear.
Yeah. So like when I actually use the laptop keyboard, not only do I not have my home row
your
mod,
fingers don't know where to be. Yeah.
Oh,
right.
ortholinear is
off a little.
I got a Moonlander and I love it. It's like one of my favorite keyboards, but the ortholinear was the hardest thing to get used to.
Yeah.
People are like, "Oh, it's split. That's wild." I'm like, "No, the split's easy to deal with.
Yeah.
It's the ortholinear where everything's like off half a key. Like everything's just like it really throws you for a loop, and switching back and forth is painful."
So this layout of keys exists because fucking manual typewriters needed their arms to be, offset from each other.
Right,
Something
because
that is not a real concern anymore. And we keep this because every generation kept learning the same layout, and we've always learned the same layout. If I could start over on an ortholinear layout, I'm sure I would be great at it, and I would never want to go to one of these these typewriter layouts again.
Yeah,
this is what my fingers know.
It was the hardest to get used to, but it only took, I think, maybe a week to get back to
that's what I was going to say.
Speed.
Yeah.
But when you switch,
you adapt pretty quick. That's what fucks you up.
Cost.
That's what fucks you up. Yeah.
You can't use exclusively linear keyboards or Dvorak or whatever your poison of the month is.
Have either one of you tried Dvorak?
I have tried it. I've gone back. It was too much. The switch. I had to have my own keyboard everywhere.
Exactly.
Too much.
Exactly. It's the mental overhead of having a context switch and go between the different styles, because inevitably you will have to touch somebody else's key. In my early 20s, I was doing tech support kind of stuff. So I was constantly in other people's keyboards. And some people had some weird ass keyboards, but most of them had the predictable thing. And that's what I want to have in my head. I only have so much space in my cerebellum for that shit.
Yep. So I have a fun story. For years I've overridden my caps lock key with tap for escape, hold for control. I've done it for years, and it's so much more comfortable.
Hold for control.
Because you're constantly you're constantly hitting that, and for me it was just so nice to just pinky over and hit caps lock, because I never used caps lock.
I did do that when the Magic Bar keyboards on the Mac laptops first came out, because the escape key was wrong in every way. In every conceivable way. Yeah.
So my wife goes to use my computer, and she's like, "What is wrong with your computer? How do you use this? Every time I use something, it's like closing the window or just doing weird stuff." And I'm like, "Well, are you hitting caps lock?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Are you yelling? Why are you using caps lock?" She goes, "Well, how else do you capitalize sentences and words?" I'm like, "Shift." And she's like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "You wait a second. Stop this. You use caps lock to capitalize the start of a sentence." "Well, yeah."
That's really how she. Okay, I was about to call you the problem there, but no, I'm sorry. If she uses caps lock to capitalize one letter, you're right. She's the monster. Yeah,
you'll appreciate this. the Advantage Pro, TJ, doesn't even come with the cap lock. They put the
I
escape
love it.
key there.
Yep.
This is out of the box. This is how it came. So yeah. I so it's funny because I used to map my shift key. What did I map it to? No, I don't remember. I think it was actually the super key, the Apple key is what I mapped it to, not control. But then somebody had mentioned, oh no, you should make that your escape key, and I've been doing it ever since. But what you said, press and hold, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I could add that to that key, and get another like function key there. I like that.
Yeah, and my current keyboard is it's also Kinesis, but it's their TKO gaming line. I love it. It's super compact, very customizable, but it came with 3 space bars. And so the middle one is my like macro layer 2 activation. And that's where I get all of the so instead of having like the home row mods, I have like a whole secondary layer to my keyboard where I've got like macros and different things in touch. But it was the most wild thing when I first saw it. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I got 3 space bars.
And they were all like out of the box. They're all just space bars, or do they behave differently? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
but they do have different scan codes, so they can differently.
Yeah. So like through their app, it I got like the fun blur, so you can't see anything. But yeah, it's got like the 3rd space bar. So like that's just there. Super nice to like hit that 2nd layer and then like macro from there.
Yeah, I love that's one of the things I love about this, because the way my hand rests on the keyboard, it just rests on the space bar, and I freaking love this thing.
That's
love
what I like
keyboard.
about the Moonlander too. Big fan.
Yeah. I have a Moonlander. I've struggled with the Moonlander because I need the symbols. Like, you know how you have all the keys without the symbols on the Moonlander? At least mine doesn't.
Yeah, mine didn't.
I get lost.
I actually almost ordered the blank keycaps for them.
Oh yeah,
because I'm just got like hardcore mode. It's all muscle memory for me, so it
is all muscle memory. Yeah,
it's all muscle memory. So I could probably go go without do the blank keys and be all right after a little while.
I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. I really do. I'm always envious when I see it.
So I had typing class when I was in school. They eventually used computers, but it was like legitimately like this was to learn to type on a typewriter sort of thing.
I remember those
in the future.
Yeah.
And my instructor was hardcore about, you will not look at the keys. You will look straight ahead, and you will know where to type, and you will type them.
He was like a drill sergeant.
Yeah,
what are you looking at, Sarah? Look at me!
Well, so the way what it turned into though is I kept looking down. It's like, I can type faster if I look at the keyboard sometimes. And she's like, fine, we're going to have a race. And she's doing this super smugly because she knows she's a fast ass typist. She's like, I'm gonna show this kid a lesson. This like 12-year-old kid, by the way. And so we have a race. The entire class is watching. I fucking mopped the floor with her.
Wow.
And so the next day, because she's this fucking petty, she comes into my English class and presents me with the Bigfoot on Desk Award. Because, okay, I hammed it up a little bit. I did stick my feet up on the desk to be like, yeah, that's right. She comes in and tries to embarrass me in the middle of my English class. And I'm just like, oh, I won an award. Good. Thank you very much for presenting that to me.
Doesn't know who she's messing with here.
Bring it.
I remember when I started high school, one of my guidance counselors suggested I take a typing class. And I remember telling him, I'm like, when am I ever going to type? Like, really? Seriously, who's going to type? And now my whole life is typing.
Dude, I remember my dad was like, yeah, I know you like computers, but what are you actually going to do with your life? You can't just sit around on a computer all day.
Yep.
Checkmate, Lincolnites.
I need to, the NorCal kid just mentioned partner of NorCal, who I have put down the path of open source. I took him to the Southern California Linux Expo and actually got him a Pop! OS laptop that they're using. So he, I got to, I forget, like, I remember how excited I was when I first got involved with open source. And now it's like, so much of it is like old school to me that I don't even think about it. Like, I don't even process it. And I forget, like, in talking to him, how, first thing, I mean, back in the day, like, how against the grain you were going when you were open source, and especially if you thought about using open source as a desktop or something, and the principles and ideas behind it, and to see them, like, kind of go like, oh yeah, that's connecting with me. I get it. I appreciate that. I'm like, oh, yeah, man, I forgot what that's like.
I remember my very first open source contribution. It was for a NetWare Active Directory integration thing.
Really?
Yeah, that's right, NetWare. Yeah, that's how old I am. And I needed my NetWare to be able to talk to multiple AD servers. And it was the driver I found from some random dude in Dublin could only talk to one Active Directory server at a time. And I found his source code, and I'm like, oh, well, if I make this change here, it'll just work. But I'm not really sure how to build this thing. So I wrote this long email to this dude, say, excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. I think if you make this little change here, it'll make the thing work, right? And I described out the change and what I thought it should look like, and how I did. Could you help me build this? And he's like, oh yeah, thanks for the contribution. I've committed it. Here's a new build. And it was just like, fuck. Apparently this works. I wasn't intending to do an accent there, by the way. It just fucking came out.
It just happens, huh?
It just happens.
It just happens sometimes.
And it was over email, so you don't even know if that's what the guy sounded like.
No,
you just...
I have no idea what the dude sounded like. Dude could have been French for all I know. He just had an IE address. Oh, thank you.
That's great.
I will put this contribution in the repository.
Yeah. So, we usually hang out here for a while until the numbers drop under 10 of people actually watching. Like, this is not the show anymore. You guys can leave.
Wait, I don't actually see our numbers. What are our numbers?
No, you don't see them. I have there's a little interface I have. I can actually see on what platform people are watching us. Here's a weird thing, a very interesting thing that I found. So obviously the PHP Ugly YouTube channel was the channel, right? Then we did a Twitch channel. When we started running PHP Architect, we started broadcasting to those YouTube and Twitch channels as well. And Twitter used to be able to broadcast to Twitter, and then they did away with it, and they recently enabled it again. I didn't even know that they had re-enabled it. Somebody in our Discord had mentioned it, and I'm like, I'm like, oh yeah, I can broadcast to Twitter again. Twitter has taken off, like, or X. I still call it Twitter, but X. Twitter. Our viewership on that platform is typically double of the PHP Ugly YouTube channel.
Wow.
And it's all small in comparison.
Allow me to say one thing. Get the fuck off of X, okay? It's a bad platform. You shouldn't be there.
I know, and I still am. I know.
I'm everywhere.
That wasn't necessarily directed at you. That was directed at the viewers.
I feel like it was.
And yes, you don't even deserve rights if you call it X. It's fucking Twitter.
It's Twitter.
Your account
is Twitter. It'll always be Twitter.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being a bad liberal if I don't call somebody by the name they identify as, though.
That's a good point. That's the thing now. Yeah.
I mean, they're still calling it formerly Twitter, so I feel fair.
And you're always seeing Twitter mentioned, like, in the docs and stuff, right? I mean, the URL still works, so it doesn't auto-direct, which is, I don't know why it doesn't do that, but yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. I got post-shows stuff I got to do. I got to do show notes and encoding of audio files, but I do appreciate you two hanging out.
You also got a plan for the next PHP Roundtable. When the hell is that going to be?
I know. I've been such a bad steward of that platform.
Man, I've been talking to Sammy. He's so mad.
He
so
should be.
mad.
He's so disappointed. He's not even mad. He's just disappointed.
He's not mad. He's disappointed.
I ran into him at Laracon. He just gave me that look like, what did I do? You have made me sad.
That slow head shake. Just disapproval.
Like, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I know. I got to get something together. I've got to get a cadence going. Like, I thought I had decided about this time last year that, okay, when I come back from tech, and I think I even talked to you about it, Sarah. I'm like, listen, every month or every 3 months, I forgot what I said. We do a show, whether we have people on or not. We get together and do a show, and then we didn't.
Brainstorm. I will run a PHP roundtable at Tech for people to drop into, like a live stream of the event.
I love that idea.
PHP roundtable.
100%. I can get you set up with that.
Help me figure out how to get set up with the like pushing things to the things and the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be like, oh, dude, oh,
sick.
Man, I need to find like a hotel table that I can just stake out, like maybe at the end of the exhibitor hallway or something like that, and just like set it up like we're here coming to you today from Tech 24.
I mean, after the first
the big event for the day.
It could be the registration room, right? After
Even
the first
registration
day.
room, yeah. A registration room would be perfect, yeah.
We'll figure this out.
We'll make this happen. We will make
we'll figure this out.
Happen. Yeah.
All right. People wanted us to do an ugly one last year, and I was like, you don't understand. Like, we have no time. Like, there's no time as an organizer of these conferences to see a talk, much less put together a podcast. So, all right. Well, if I don't talk to either one of you again, not again. If I don't talk to either one of you before tech,
I'm done. This was it.
I'm not saying I was disappointed with your performance. I'm just not going to talk to you ever again. Don't look at me. Now, if I don't talk to you before tech, I will see you guys there, and we will have a good time.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
Beck is very excited about seeing the two of you again. My wife is very excited about seeing the two of you again. TJ, I don't know if you remember meeting Beck when you came out for Wave PHP. TJ was one of the OG speakers of Wave, the inaugural Wave PHP. Well, I say inaugural. I guess it's the only Wave PHP.
Yeah. That was so much fun. I really enjoyed it.
We get that. Like a lot of, I don't know if they're just being nice, but a lot of people are like, no, that was actually a great conference.
It was a really good time.
Yeah. I love it.
I hear people talk about it from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we had lunch on the beach every day, which was my absolute favorite thing. When they talked about doing it, I'm like, that sounds terrible. Like outside in sand, nobody wants to eat outside
it was nice.
in sand. Yeah,
the dude who lives near the beach.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you think it sounds like a good idea until you do it. I was like, no, you don't want to do this. But yeah, it was really good. It was really good. So we keep toying around with the idea of we've had requests of moving PHP World to San Diego. I don't know. We want to, but we need to get to a comfortable spot with tech where we're not hustling, 9 months out of the year trying to get sponsors and everything for tech before we can talk about another conference of any magnitude. But we'll get there.
I know a lot of conference organizers, and none of them are like, "Oh, that was so easy. That was always fun and happy. Nothing went wrong." No, none of them say that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty fortunate as far as like things going okay. I mean, even at Wave, our first time we did the conference in San Diego, we were pretty fortunate. It's just for me, at least for me personally, it's just the anxiety and stress leading up to it, like making sure everybody gets there, making sure nobody has to bail the last minute, making sure everybody's fed, getting money to do all this. It's just like so much stress and anxiety. It's crazy. All right. Well, you guys take it easy. I'll I'm sure I'll talk to you guys before Tech, but if not, I'll see you guys at Tech. All right.
Yeah, man. We'll
All
be
right.
there.
Everybody watching,
Keep it
thanks for
ugly.
hanging out with us.